Hello there and welcome to your Wellness Wednesday. You're here with Chelsea Marie from chelseamariecoaching.com. And today I'm going to share with you a very simple but also very effective method on how you can start booting sugar and processed foods out of your diet. So this method is called crowding out. So crowding out is simply an approach where instead of focusing on eliminating foods from out of your diet, so instead of focusing on just stripping alcohol, sugar, or caffeine, instead you're keeping those foods in your diet. You can still eat them, still enjoy them. You don't change your quantity, you leave it the way it is. But instead, you just start putting your focus towards all of the good foods and adding more of those into your diet. So the reason why I find this method works so well for a lot of people, now keep in mind, we're all so incredibly unique, our body chemistry, even our lifestyle. So depending on your level of stress, depending on your workload, it's really gonna, all these things really come into play. So the crowding out method I find works for so many people, especially if you have a lot of stress in your life, because if you instantly start removing, foods out of your diet, you're going to start to feel out of balance. And when you're out of balance, subconsciously, your body wants to balance it out. So consciously, you're going to start just incorporating more of other foods to create that balance. So as an example, one of my clients, before we started working together, she was really wanting to just start removing alcohol from her diet. Instead of having it, 2 glasses every single night with her dinner, she wanted to start doing it just on the weekends or even just when she went out with her gals. So before we started working together, she kind of just completely stripped it out of her diet. And then within a matter of 4 to 5 days, it was still out of her diet, but her amount of sugar was doubling in her diet without even realizing it. So that's just it. At the end of the day, subconsciously, we're going to start to, when we replace something, we want to see more of something else to create that balance. So that's where the crowding out method really, really, really comes in handy, and it makes your journey or your transition that much more successful. So here is one tip that you can use to make this method more successful for you. So when you are, like I said, keep your alcohol, keep your sugar, keep all that the same, but instead focus on incorporating more of your macronutrients into your diet. So your macronutrients are nutrients that your body needs on a larger it needs a larger level or a larger quantity of them. So as an example, your proteins, your fats, your carbohydrates. I know water isn't a macronutrient, but you also need a huge amount of water. So add that to the list too. So you need all 4 of those essentials. So once again, don't change your alcohol, don't change your sugar, don't change your processed foods. Simply just focus on adding more of good quality proteins, good quality carbohydrates. And now when I say carbohydrates, keep in mind that all your fruit and your vegetables have good doses of carbohydrates as well, especially your sweet potato, your broccoli, your cauliflower, and once again, all of your fruit. So you don't necessarily need a lot of grains in your diet for your carbohydrate dosing. But then once again, make sure you have your good quality fats as well. This could be ghee, olive oil, flax oil, hemp oil, coconut oil. Just make sure that you have those 3 essentials plus your water. So once you start incorporating more of your macronutrients into your diet, you will notice that you're not actually craving as much sugar or even as much salt. And the reason for that is because sugar and salt are cravings when your body is actually in lack of one of your macronutrients. So by incorporating more of them in, it will definitely start to help with your cravings. So once you have started incorporating more of those foods into your diet, that's when you can start taking a look at your coffee intake, your alcohol intake. Instead of maybe starting your morning with 2 cups of coffee, maybe start to bring it down to 1.5 cups. With your alcohol, if you're having, 2 glasses of wine, or if you're having 1 large glass of wine, instead start to minimize the quantity of wine in that glass. So that way you're still having 2, but you're having 2 smaller size glasses. This way you're not feeling so empty-handed, and over time, after about a couple of weeks, you're gonna have more energy, you're gonna feel better, your mood's gonna be better, and you're gonna actually start to notice that you're not actually consuming as much processed foods, as much sugar, or even alcohol, because your body is gonna feel so topped up and it's going to feel so much more nourished. Now, one more thing to kind of keep in mind too is the method of the timing of, when you're eating your foods also makes a difference. This is known as intermittent fasting. So I actually created a free 4-part video series, which I will post above. It's completely free. I'm only going to have it posted until March 5th. So make sure you grab it while you can. And in video number 1, I actually talk about all the details about timing of your meals, how many hours in between your meals, how many meals a day. And like I said, you don't actually change the foods that you're eating. You can still have your wine, you can still have your coffee. And then over time, yes, they will start to crowd out, but in just doing that timing in between your meals, that also makes a really big difference in balancing your blood sugar level, which gives you more energy and also reduces your cravings. One thing you can also keep in mind is there are many superfoods and supplements that you can also use as a tool to successfully reduce your cravings and to start booting those foods out of your diet. One of them specifically is bee pollen. Bee pollen is so interesting. It's actually prescribed in Europe by a lot of doctors after their patients either have facial surgery, any kind of surgery on their body whatsoever. It really helps the body to regenerate and to recover and repair. Another thing is that it has a really interesting amino acid profile. It's high in 4 specific amino acids that balance your dopamine and your serotonin in your brain, which actually uplift your mood. It's amazing for depression. It's also amazing for weight loss and for balancing your hunger, whether you're not eating enough or whether you're eating too much. And on top of that, bee pollen is one of those main superfoods that contains almost every single nutrient that your body needs on a daily basis. So once again, I actually talk more about different supplements that you can also incorporate to help with your cravings and to help with your mood, just to make the transition that much easier. I also talk about that in my first video, number 1, in my free 4-part video series. Anyways, that is it for today's live. I'm going to head on over to the private Heartcore Living group. So if you're not already in the group, join us as soon as you can, so that way you don't miss out. Anyways, you guys have an awesome day. Once again, I will post the link above for the free 4-part video series, and you will only have access to these videos until March 5th. Anyways, have an awesome day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.